Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce that Jesus is the Christ. Now, without further ado, we will continue our study of Daniel, picking up back up on chapter 7. If you do not understand Daniel chapter 2, it could be difficult to understanding all the prophecy sections starting on with chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7 is quite full. I'll probably read verse by verse and break down verse by verse. Starting on Daniel 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Context for the book of Daniel, Daniel 2:4 to Daniel 7:28 is in the Chaldean language, whereas the rest of the book is written in Hebrew. Some people think that this would suggest that the Chaldean parts are for the Gentiles and that the Hebrew parts are for the Jewish people. I disagree entirely. I don't think the language in which the book of a Bible was originally written should affect who the prophecy is for, what the meaning is, anything like that. I just think it happens to be in two different languages. Verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. Verse 2, Daniel's having this vision. I would argue it is the same vision Nebuchadnezzar had, but from a different point of view. So this vision that Daniel's seeing is how God would view this. Therefore, he's giving it to Daniel. And Nebuchadnezzar's dream is how man would view these events happening. The verse talks about the four winds. Winds typically are symbolic of wars or strifes or judgments. The sea typically is symbolic for people or peoples. Verse 3, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Beasts typically symbolize kingdoms and or rulers. Verse 4, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. So this first beast, again, comparing it to Nebuchadnezzar's dream in chapter 2, it is essentially the head of gold. The head of gold is the lion. They both represent Babylon. Some think not, because at the time Daniel was having this vision, Babylon has already come and went. I would disagree, because even when Nebuchadnezzar had the dream, the head of gold still represents Babylon, even though Babylon has already risen up. It has eagle's wings. The wings represent Babylon's swift conquest. The wings thereof were plucked, representing the part where Nebuchadnezzar thinks he's a beast. His conquest stops suddenly. And then when the beast stands upon the feet as a man and a man's heart was given to it, that's Nebuchadnezzar becoming a man again, or at least thinking like one. Verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. The bear is going to represent the Medo-Persians, as bears and the way this empire rose are both cruel, bloodthirsty. Large bears can be found in the mountains of Media. It says the bear raised itself up on one side. That is going to be the same thing as the higher horn in the next chapter. And that represents Cyrus the Persian, who is greater than Darius the Mede, or maybe not greater than, but came beforehand. Three ribs and much flesh is equal to Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt, the three areas they conquered. And the much flesh, just again, they conquered much land. 6, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. So the leopard is going to represent the Grecian Empire, which was actually led by Alexander the Great. Leopards are already fast creatures, plus a leopard with four wings would be insanely fast. And Alexander the Great, at that time, he conquered most of the known land at that time at such an incredible fast pace. I believe it was 13 years, faster than the Babylonian conquest was. And then the leopard, of course, has four heads, representing four kingdoms. No doubt the four kingdoms that were divided from the original Grecian kingdom after Alexander the Great's death. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So this last beast is going to represent the Roman Empire. It had great iron teeth. So were the feet of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream. It conquers all territories of the first 3 beasts, but this beast is dreadful, terrible, strong exceedingly, meaning it is more powerful. It is greater, has a bigger extent of its conquest and length of reign. The beast has 10 horns, and that will represent, again, 10 kingdoms, as in the latter days of the Roman Empire's existence. Horns represent kings. Verse 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by its roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and mouth speaking great things. So the 10 horns, it is equivalent to the 10 toes in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. The little horn, it says it plucks up 3 of the other horns. This is going to represent the future prophecy in our day now. It's going to represent the Antichrist destroying 3 of the new Roman Empire's kingdoms, and the other 7 will submit peacefully. In the Antichrist days, there will be an area that was the Roman Empire, a new kingdom made up of 10 countries, or 10 empires, or 10 kingdoms, whatever term you want to use. And the Antichrist, he's going to come over and take over 3 of them, and it will be so great and so ferocious that the other countries will submit to him willingly because they don't want to risk the war. 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. It says at the beginning, till the thrones were cast down. That's going to represent all the way from Babylon, right? The beginning of all these thrones. It was the first throne, represented by the first beast, all the way to the Ancient of Days, who is God. Verse 10, a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. And this is going to be, of course, the judgment from God, or the Ancient of Days, upon the Antichrist and all those who stand against God with the Antichrist. Verse 11, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. This is obviously the Antichrist being destroyed from the judgment in the previous verse. 12, as concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Same with the Antichrist kingdom. He will have his dominion and his life prolonged for a season and a time, but he will not stand against the Ancient of Days, and he will not stand forever, just like the previous 4 kingdoms. 13, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and he brought him near before him. This verse is a very, key or obvious verse that can be brought up when people oppose the idea of the Trinity. Daniel sees 2 people at this time. He sees the Son of Man, who we all know is Jesus, before the Ancient of Days, who is God. So Daniel, at the same time, is seeing 2 different people, and they're right. One is approaching the other. So there's at least 2 members of the Trinity, and when you add the Holy Ghost, that of course is the 3rd. So this is a great scripture for people that think that the Trinity is just one person or 3 forms of the same person at different times. This verse is perfect for saying, hey, there's 2 of them at the same time. Why could there not be a 3rd? 14, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. This is talking about Christ's kingdom on the new heaven and new earth. 15, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I like this verse. We are not people on earth. We are spirits in bodies on earth. And when we pass on, our bodies will rot in the earth, if you will, but our spirits will continue on. Let's look at it again. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, right? He, Daniel, realizes they're two different things. His spirit is troubled inside his body. Daniel is not his body. Daniel is his spirit, his consciousness, his soul in the body he has. 16. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. This is Daniel asking one of them that stood by, could be an angel, I would guess, because those are a lot of crazy things to see. 17. It seems to be the angel or whoever giving the interpretation. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. I want to point out, it says the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. The saints, that's the church. That's believers in the Christ. 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. 22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and a time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. This is kind of a scary verse for the saints, or the people that stand with Christ, because yes, we win and we inherit the earth, but it plainly says, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints. And I think it's kind of scary having the perfect God who created everything in the whole world and universe is going to judge me for all the choices I made and what I did and what I didn't do and what I did right and what I did wrong. Verse 23, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of his kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them, and ye shall be diverse from the first, and ye shall subdue 3 kings. Some people will teach that the literal Roman Empire will come back and make a comeback, and it'll be one king ruling in that one kingdom. But this verse is quite obvious proof against it, because it says 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, plainly stating that it's not one guy ruling one kingdom, it's 10 kings in 10 kingdoms in this area. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time. That last part in that verse, time, times, and the dividing of a time, that is 3.5 years or 42 months. I get that number from one of the many places in the book of Revelations, because this is talking about that same future time that Revelations goes way more in depth about. Verse 26, almost to the end, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. The greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. I think that is quite evident in suggesting that it's the whole earth at that time. Jesus will rule the whole earth. I like verse 28. I almost think it's kind of funny. It says at the end, I kept the matter in my heart. Almost like he didn't want to tell anyone because they might think he was crazy.